the president kind of teased a little bit that he believes that we have a moral obligation as a country to be kind. That's the word he used. He said a lot of people might be surprised that by his tariff announcement, indicating they could be lower than what was projected. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? What are you hearing? Any inside information on that?
Well, sure. I mean, this is the one thing about President Trump. He is somewhat unpredictable when it comes to these policies. And as we've seen already in the course of the 2 months that he's been in office, he's threatened the use of tariffs. He's had other leaders of other countries back down and give in to their demands. So he's used them as a form of statecraft and use them in that sense. He's also said that he's going to bring back jobs to the United States, and he sees manufacturing as a key measure and a key indicator that he would like to see increase in the United States. And so he's talked about using tariffs in that regard as well. And so whether or not they're higher or lower, I don't have any inside scoop for you today, Fanchin, but I can tell you this. What I think this president is committed to doing is making sure that at the end of his term in 4 years, the American people have a better economy than they did when he took office on January 20th, that there are more manufacturing jobs, good paying jobs for American workers that have disappeared overseas. And I think finally, he wants to make sure that those countries that are taking advantage of the United States right now, either in the case of Canada charging over 200% tariffs on dairy products, or Mexico, where you see a stream of fentanyl coming in and really causing chaos in many of our communities across this country, he's going to use these policies to the effect that he can as an executive and the leader of our country, perhaps more so than any other president has, at least in our lifetime.
And Robert, certainly Wall Street's going to be keeping an eye on tomorrow. There was a nice uptick yesterday of the major indexes, but I'm sure they're going to be keeping track of that tomorrow. Yesterday, U.S. Senator Tim Sheehy of Montana was on CNN, and he said there is, and you've heard a lot of people say, that short-term gain for that long-term, or the short-term pain for the long-term gain. Short-term pain for our consumers watching, our viewers, on what? What products specifically do you believe?
Well, sure. I mean, he's talked about cars, for instance, and remember, a lot of cars are manufactured not in the United States anymore, and I think that he'd like to see those cars manufactured back here in the United States. There are parts of cars, and if there are tariffs on those, Americans could see higher prices on automobiles. But there's any number of products, depending on the reliance that we have on some of these foreign countries, particularly China, and I think that's one of the things that the president would like to reduce the dependence on some of these foreign countries when it comes to manufacturing specifically. But Joe, I'll say this. I mean, the American people, I think, are willing to give Donald Trump some benefit of the doubt. They understand that he's trying to make major changes to how the economy operates in this country. At the same time, as Scott Rasmussen has often reminded us, there are some key metrics that we need to pay attention to. One is whether Americans think their personal finances are getting better or getting worse. And that's a number that I think this White House should pay close attention to. They're probably not monitoring the stock market and whether the Dow is going up or down on a daily basis, but they do feel it, whether they're at the grocery store or whether they're paying rent. Those are the types of things that impact their bottom line. And it's one of the things that really did in Joe Biden when he could not get inflation under control, which was his own fault for spending as much government spending as he allowed during his term as president. So this president, I think, needs to pay careful attention to those issues.